It's good to almost be with you. I would much rather be at Hideaway than I would be in Austin, but thank y'all for letting us join this way. Of course, we're in the third special session. This is supposed to be a part-time job, but that's okay. We signed up for it, and we're earning our $600 a month. And so good things are happening. A lot of folks and things that people care about back home. And so I'm glad to get to connect with you just briefly. We're here to do redistricting, and one of the things we're working on is to make sure that Hideaway and Lindale still have good representation by Judge Gomer, by Richard Hefner, and I want to keep Hideaway and Lindale as well. We're doing so, making sure the maps look good for that. And again, making sure the redistricting maps represent our area well, and we have the voice that we need. Election integrity is still, we're following through on that to make sure it's easy to vote and hard to cheat. And Texas is leading the way on that. We really are. The heartbeat bill. I know so many of us back home support the heartbeat bill. That took effect September 1st, and about 130 little babies every day, their lives are being saved. And we had a judge last night try to block it, but the law is still there. We're going to keep moving that judicial process. So we're thankful for that. Protecting innocent human life. We can protect that little baby in our mother's womb, and we can also love and support and give help to that mother. We can do both. We can do both, and we will. And so that's important. We've got a lot of attention on that bill, and we're thankful for that. Also, social media. We passed a bill to make sure that social media can't punish you based on your politics or based on your religion. And based on a law that we passed, Richard Hefner and I supported, it says that when they try to knock you offline, you can get back online. You can even make them pay your attorney's fees to do it. And they have sued us to block that law. We plan on winning that lawsuit as well. So we're encouraged about that. It's such a pleasure to get to represent you. I know Judge Gomer is there. He often says, I've got the best constituents in the world. Well, Judge, you're right, and I do too. And so it's Richard Hefner. Knowing that we have people that believe in the Constitution and the Bible and support these things, it makes it so much easier. Of course, we're not trying to legislate anybody's faith, but we do want to keep the place where there's religious freedom and free speech, and folks can live their lives and raise their families and run their businesses, and everybody's better off when we do that. So I'm looking forward to being back with you in person. We are stuck down in Austin for a little bit longer, but Shelby, you're so kind to work with us on the schedule and get this Zoom stuff going, and so I will give back the rest of my time and just tell everybody it is such a joy for me to get to represent you, and I look forward to seeing you again back home very soon. God bless.
We moved to a desktop computer instead of a cell phone, so maybe that'll work better. Well, hey, thank y'all for having us today. I wish we could be there in person. Lord knows we'd rather be in East Texas than down in Austin. But anyway, glad y'all were able to make the arrangements for us to be here. Like Ryan said, we're working on the redistricting. We had the map in the House has been filed, and we set it for floor debate on Monday. So the House maps hopefully will be passed Monday, so we can work on that. We did keep Lindale and Hideaway in our map draft, so excited about keeping that part of Smith County. We accomplished a lot of things this last session. Brian touched on some of them. One of the things we passed is really good policy. Y'all know when government gets its hands on money, we sure like to spend it. And so we need to put boundaries in place and limitations on how we spend the taxpayer dollars. And so we passed a bill that's been attempted in several sessions. It was Senate Bill 1336 that tightened the state spending cap to population plus inflation. And this kind of ties our hands on that spending. And that's a huge win for the taxpayers that we've been working on for a few sessions. We passed some rural broadband initiatives. Lord knows I live in an area where internet is very poor service. It's hard to get to out there. So we're getting some policy implemented that'll help get that broadband to all of our rural communities. We've got a lot of COVID funds, COVID relief dollars that have come in that we're going to be dispersing in this special session. So hopefully we'll get that into the places that need it. A lot of people are putting a bind with the COVID issues, so hopefully we can help with that. We had a great session on Second Amendment issues. We expanded Second Amendment freedoms with 10 or 12 bills we passed for the House and Senate. The biggest one was the constitutional carry bill, which says that if an individual can legally possess a firearm, then they can carry that firearm without a license. And we passed many others that said a gun store can't be closed by an executive, holster freedom, and many other bills. Me and Senator Hughes passed one that said hotels can't prohibit us from carrying into our hotel rooms. And so a lot of gun legislation, like Brian said, heartbeat, election integrity, spending caps. A lot of good things have been done down here, and hopefully we'll get a few more things done before this special session ends October the 19th. So wish I was there with y'all. It's a great honor to get to represent y'all, and I hope to be representing you for a long time in the future. Thank y'all for having me.
Well, it is great to be here, much better than being in Washington, for sure. Of course, that doesn't say much, I know. But, and that food was wonderful. I come to meals all the time, and usually I don't eat, because, you know, that's really good. It tastes like my mother's pot roast in the good old days. But anyway, a lot going on in Washington. I know you're aware there's a battle over the debt ceiling. I just think it's such a total cop-out, and Republicans have done it before too, where we say, oh, let's just set a date and we can run it up to whatever during the interim. That should not be. The reason there's a requirement for a debt ceiling is to force people to come back and face the unpleasantness of trying to balance the budget. And so the question now is, how many trillions of dollars are we going to spend more than we have? I know I still hear people say, well, we're printing more money than ever. And I heard Rush Limbaugh say that one day, and he was amazing. I sent him an email, because I know he reads email more than text messages during the show. But he and Mark Levin, they can read the email and be talking at the same time. But anyway, I explained to him that I'd been at a meeting at the Federal Reserve some years back, and I said, how much more money are we printing now than we did, say, 15, 20 years ago? And one of the directors said, it's about the same amount that we printed, not much different, a little more, not much. And I said, but there's so much more money in the system now. And I quote verbatim, oh, we couldn't possibly print all the money we are creating.
Whoa.
Or they're not printing it, they just adding the digits to the computer system. And that, to me, that's even worse. So we're headed for trouble, and we cannot keep running up this kind of deficit. And I was upset with Republicans in 2006. We had $160 billion in the red. Democrats beat up on Republicans properly because we should have balanced that year. We were close enough, we should have gone ahead and balanced the budget again. Hadn't happened since the 90s. But what happened was we ran up the debt and we lost the majority. And who knew within a year, 2 years, the budget would then loom up to $1.6 trillion deficit, between 1.5 and 1.6. And since then, it doesn't seem to bother enough people that we're having that kind of deficit. You may or may not remember, I know those people that are dealing with money are well aware, but back after we ran up $1 trillion deficit, a number of the rating agencies said, this shows carelessness, not enough attention to balancing, and so we're going to have to downgrade your rating, the debt rating. And only Standard & Poor ended up downgrading. If we'd had one other rating agency that had downgraded the U.S. debt, then our interest rates would have gone up and we would have been paying more for interest. And that when you're paying more for interest, then you're going to end up having to cut. We wouldn't be able to pay Medicare, Social Security, all of those things. I had a bill, and I was pushing Paul Ryan to get on board because he's supposed to be such a fiscal hawk. And I said, look, why don't we just pass a bill that for the first time since the 1930s would require Social Security tax money coming in would actually go into the Social Security Trust Fund. And his response was, we couldn't possibly do that. I said, why not? And he said, because the government would have too much money sitting in trusts and they would become too big of an investor, and we don't want that to ever happen. And then he was the first one on board to support $700 billion worth of money that the government would spend to get involved in buying mortgage-backed securities. So there's a lot of hypocrisy in Washington, but we're now to a point, it was interesting to learn this week that we have a bunch of terrorists that come to school board meetings and say they don't want their kids taught critical race theory. And now we have, as of this week, an attorney general that is saying, in essence, that they're going to be investigating people that have protests at school board meetings. And you know, I proposed some years back what I thought was a good idea for the schools, because growing up, small town East Texas, if you had a problem with a teacher or something at a school, then you could go to your local school board. And if they didn't fix it, then I know people that ran for school board got elected so they could fix it. That's where we're so much better off with the power being local. But since 1979, when the Department of Education was created, they have added so much in the way of administrative costs and administrative requirements that every school district has to hire people to respond to the new TEA folks in Austin that are having to respond to Washington, D.C. We've gotten it all out of kilter. Education is not mentioned as an enumerated power, therefore under the 10th Amendment, it should be a local issue. But we have got to get Washington grounded, and it is helping that polling data is showing that the Biden administration, the more they meddle in local matters, the less they're doing. That makes a difference. I don't care which party it is, when they see their polling data is tanking, then they pay attention. It matters. So thank y'all for caring. And some of y'all have mentioned Colonel Scheller. Let me just say this. So many gave so much in the fight in Afghanistan. Multiple tours, went to the funerals of friends. In my 4 years in the Army, we weren't in any combat or wars, but you still lose people even in times like that. And there's nothing more moving than going to, a fellow service member's funeral while you're serving. To have what in essence was a surrender in Afghanistan was tragic. We've had lots of people that are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. There's no way lots of them are not triggered when they see us surrender to the Taliban, and the Taliban frees 5,000 terrorists. There's no way we're not going to have problems. And so if you know somebody that fought in Afghanistan, I would just implore you, encourage them. They need encouragement. They may not talk about it, but they're suffering and they're hurting. And that's what Colonel Scheller, that was his situation. It's just that he had enough nerve to really blow 17 years of incredible service just to call attention to the fact that we have very weak national leadership in the military. And so it's costing him. He won't be able to retire. He has had a command structure that wanted to put him in jail. I guess their frustration with people higher up is being brought to bear against Stu himself, but he's a good guy, and we had a good visit there in the brig at Camp Lejeune. And you know, I haven't mentioned this in the press, but sometimes you wonder, you know, am I doing any good? When a guy like that grabs your hand and says, I'll never forget what you've done for me for the rest of my life, it's quite an encouragement to keep going. So y'all lift me up. I love, this is where I get my spiritual lift. I pray daily, read scripture daily, but you have no idea what a lift it is to be around you. God's blessing us. We just can't forget that. So I don't know. Are we going to take questions at the end?
No, at the end.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelby, and thank you all for being here today. My remarks are going to be short because I know we have a lot to speak today. I'm going to show you a video. It's 2 minutes long, but I'm going to stop it about halfway through because I think you get the essence. Before I show you that, though, I want to say again, thanks for letting me have the opportunity to serve each one of you. Over the past 5 years, I've been able to build relationships with each of you, and what I find is more and more, our values are aligned, and we're headed in the same direction. And the unification of a number of issues at the county level and the unity that we have in direction going forward is amazing. We have great momentum. We're solving a lot of problems, and if you know me, that's what I like to do. I like to solve problems, so that's what we're trying to do. One of the things that we did this year, which I want to highlight aside from the courthouse, is our budget that we just passed. We passed a budget that on average raised law enforcement salaries by 14%. Starting salaries across the board for law enforcement in our county are now up 25%. If you're going to be a detention officer, you went from making about $33,500 as a first year detention officer to this year you're going to make $41,500 as a beginning detention officer. It's because we believe in the men and women that serve in blue. We are different than the rest of this world. A lot of this world is saying we want to, defund the police? And what we were saying this year was we want to refund the police. We want to double down on our investment in our law enforcement. And I'm extremely proud to say that we're doing all of that by holding the line in taxes. Our tax rate is 33.5 cents for this next year. It was 33.5 cents last year, and that is still a 0.7 of a penny less than last year's effective rate. What that means is, if you go back 2 years, you're still paying less in taxes than you would have 2 years ago, depending on the value of your property. But across the board, we're cutting taxes and we're keeping them low as best we can. We don't handle the valuation side of it, we handle the tax rate side of it. We're doing what we can on the tax rate side of the equation. So thank you for your support in that. One of the exciting propositions, though, that we want to put before you in the coming year or year and a half is a new courthouse. You guys all know we need a new courthouse. We've been talking about it for 2 years. We have a great plan. Instead of putting it before the voters in the middle of a pandemic, when you guys are facing some tough economic times, we said, you know what, we're gonna take a pause. It's important, but timing is really important. So let me show you what the plan for the new courthouse is gonna look like. You can see all of this information, all of our courthouse workshops online through smith-county.com. Go to the website, see it all. Call me anytime and I'll answer questions for you. But take a look at this video here for a minute and see what we have in store. The last thought I'm going to leave you with on this, as you think about this, is recognize the importance of what goes on in a courthouse. Law and order is at the center of everything we do here in Smith County. The value of the lives touched inside that courthouse, the victims, the defendants, the witnesses, the judges, the juries, everything that goes on in that courthouse is of the utmost importance. Our building should reflect the character of what goes on inside the courthouse. And I'm not going to back down on that. Just like when we go to church, we need to stand up straighter. We need to talk better. Actually, we should be doing it on the outside. But you know, when we're on the inside, that's what happens, because it reflects the value of what's going on inside that church. When you enter a courthouse, you should have the same feeling. You should dress different. You should make sure to talk different. You should sit different. You should stand different. And you know, justice and eternal matters are being handled inside the courthouse. We need a building that reflects it. Thank you, guys.
I'm Penny Clarkson, and I'm blessed to be the Smith County District Clerk. I get goosebumps every time I hear Judge Moran talk about our courthouse and how important it is that we serve the citizens of Smith County. And it does make a difference. We can put up a new picture in the courthouse and it'll just change the image and how people feel when they come in. 6 months ago, we had the feeling that when you walked into the courthouse, it was evil. That would be this feeling that people would say, it feels evil. We have made such an impact in making the changes there. My office has benefited from that. Judge Moran, I thank him for all that. Well, what I want to touch with you, the main purpose of me being here today, is we do have a new jury selection system. How many of you have been through our new system in the last 6 months? I hope it was pleasant. Our job is to get it more efficient, to save the citizens time. And eventually our new system will save the county money. So that's what we're all about. We're about serving our citizens. I look forward to seeing jury duty. I know you hate the yellow card party, but we're making the most of it. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me serve you in Precinct 3 here. I'm really not going to talk about anything because the video explains it really well. It's about 4 minutes long. And if you like what you've seen us do with Phase 1, we want to see you come out on November the 2nd for the second phase, and hope you'll put our trust in us to do what we said we'd do since we did it in Phase 1. One thing I would like to say, thank Judge for his leadership in the courthouse, road and bridge, and things that are getting done. And the reason these things need to get done is not just what we have here now, but our growth. We're dealing, like Senator Hughes and Representative Hefner said, with redistricting right now within ourselves, the commissioner lines and stuff. And Smith County has really, really grown. And Precinct 3 has the largest land mass of any of the other precincts, with over 500 miles of road. We only have 1,200 miles, so you figure out there's 3 other precincts. But the population-wise in the Precinct 3 area, I mean, we're the second largest growth up next to the first one, which is Commissioner Neil Franklin's precinct in Flint, Noonday, and Bullard area. So this ought to be exciting for the chamber area. I was talking to Stan Stratt before, you know, the schools and the businesses and the I-20 corridor and the climate here. I mean, everybody just wants to come to the Lindale area. And so that's why we need some of these things, prepare for growth. And we just look forward to seeing you out on November 2nd. And y'all watch this. If you have any questions afterwards, we'd be glad to answer any questions for you. Thank you, Craig.
In November 2017, Smith County voters approved Phase 1 of the Smith County Road Bond Program by a 73% margin. Since that time, the county has been working hard to reconstruct or repave about 200 miles of roads. In just the first year of the program, the county improved more roads than it had in the entire decade before. And the cost to the average homeowner for all that work was less than $15 per year. Now it's time to work on Phase 2 of the Road and Bridge Bond Program. If voters approve the requested $45 million in road and bridge bonds this November, the county will improve an additional 283 miles over these next 3 years. The cost of all this work, about the same as Phase 1, $15 per year for the average homeowner in the county. Smith County has nearly 1,200 miles of county roads, more than almost any other county in the state. And bond funds are giving us the opportunity to catch up where we've fallen short in the past few decades. But we're not just relying on bond money to fix roads. The county is using cash reserves to replace millions of dollars of old equipment and is dedicating more money each year to the Road and Bridge Department out of its annual revenues. That way, when the bond program is complete, the department will be fully funded and won't need future bonds to maintain our existing road infrastructure. And we are doing all of this while holding the line on taxes. Last year, the county reduced the property tax an extra penny, keeping us among one of the lowest tax rates in the state. And this year, the property tax rate will still be below last year's no new revenue rate. It's your roads and your money, and we know that. So what's included in Phase 2? Precinct 1 is in the southwest part of the county and includes 296 miles of roads. It will see 68 miles of major work in Phase 2, in addition to the 55 miles of roads that were repaved or reconstructed in Phase 1. Precinct 2 is in the southeast part of the county and includes 219 miles of roads. It will see 46 miles of major work in Phase 2, in addition to the 42 miles of roads that were repaved or reconstructed in Phase 1. Precinct 3 is in the northern part of the county and has 510 miles of roads. During Phase 1 of the road bond, 63 miles of those roads were either repaved or reconstructed. In Phase 2, it will see another 138 miles improved. Precinct 4 is in the northwest part of the county and includes 144 miles of county roads. During the first phase of the bond, 39 miles of those roads were improved. In Phase 2, it will be another 31 miles of work done. To finish our 6-year road and bridge plan, we need you to return to the ballot box on November 2nd. This $45 million bond issue on the ballot will help us continue the progress we have planned for roads and bridges by improving another 283 miles of roads during these next 3 years, and bring the total of road miles constructed or repaved to nearly 500. But it's important to remember that if you're over 65, this will not impact your tax levy at all. Your taxes are frozen. So now is your opportunity to make your voice heard.
See if I can tilt this. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm John Johnson, soon to be John Wayne Johnson, because I'm running again for re-election this next year, and put that on the ad. I'm your Justice of the Peace here in Precinct 5, Glendale, and it's such an honor to serve you. Our court is the busiest court in Smith County, Business Justice Court. We've been busiest ever since I took office, going on my 3rd year, and we're only going to get busier. Because as you heard the Commissioner and Judge Moran talk about, there's a lot of growth in Lindale, and as you can see it. It's hard to drive anywhere around without seeing a new subdivision being planted in a field somewhere, you know, and it's a lot of people. It's an exciting time for Lindale. Our court handles, of course, criminal cases that involve fine only. So that can be fish and wildlife, that's most of your motor vehicle tickets. But we also have a large caseload that's probably growing faster than any other part of my workload is small claims. Small claims cases, debt claims, both of those involve, you know, local businesses that feel like they need to reclaim money or are owed a debt, and also evictions. And so as we get more rental properties, our numbers will go up on evictions, and of course small claims just come with having more people living in our precinct. So with that, it's an honor to serve you. It's an honor to serve under the leadership of Judge Moran, and Commissioner Phillips does an outstanding job for our county, and I'm just glad God put me in this place. It's a wonderful job, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to say it's a privilege to serve you. Some people kind of wonder, what is a constable? Well, a constable, we help the justice of the peace as far as helping with that court, the civil process and stuff like that. We do a lot of evictions, a lot of writ of possessions and such of that nature. But also what's kind of unique about my precinct, which is Precinct 5, which I know that's kind of confusing when you have Precinct 4 Commissioner, but I also have Precinct 3 within my precinct. So to give you an idea on the boundaries, it's from 64 West roughly, which runs all the way around to Lavender Road. So that's the area that we cover, and we cover to the west, which is the Van Zandt County line, and also to the north of Wood County. So you can see that there's a very large area there, but it's also a very highly populated area that is experiencing a lot of growth, in which we've kind of prepared for that over the years to kind of grow that a little bit so we can anticipate that growth. Just to let you know, background on me, I graduated from Lindale High School. I've lived here all my life. My mom and dad are standing right there in the crowd, and if it wasn't for those two right there, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at, but they're wonderful. Thank you so much for supporting me. But on another note, I'd also like to compliment Judge Moran on his leadership. Not only is he's standing with law enforcement, not behind them. And I think that's important to note, that he is truly a supporter of law enforcement, even though he is an attorney. But he is truly supportive of this community, and also the law enforcement aspect, but also he also supports all the employees of Smith County, and that's important to note also. Thank you for allowing me to serve.
Our mayor, Ray Hutchison, does send his apologies. He is a 6 foot tall, very distinguished former retired engineer, and I'm obviously not him. But he did ask me to come and welcome you to our community. We've had some exciting things that have gone on here in the last 2 years. We have just completed remodeling the marina, the lodge, completely redone our aquatic facilities, and you may have noticed that we've done some remodeling here too, thanks to the Arctic vortex that we had last winter. And I do want to give a shout out to the Lindale Volunteer Fire Department that were awesome to come and help our community when many of us could not transition the roads, and they brought food, they brought blankets, they were awesome. We've also seen a big change in ownership in Hideaway for more than normal. And it's not been the typical retiree from Dallas coming here, but we have new families that are coming from all over the country. It's amazing. And we also have lots of young families that have come here. I have been told that there used to be for years one school bus that came to Hideaway, and now I'm told there are 4. And so we are very excited to welcome these people with new ideas and new thoughts. We are thrilled to have the Lindale Chamber of Commerce, these wonderful people who serve our community so diligently and so faithfully. And so welcome to our community. Thank you for coming, and y'all have a blessed afternoon.
What I want to share with you is just kind of an update on Lindale Independent School District trustees. I know every week Mr. Surratt puts out a Facebook message, and so some of this will be repetitive, but it's all worth y'all hearing it again, because great things are happening in our school district, as we all know. Right now, our attendance, our number of students is 4,325 students. We're up 125 since last May. That's a substantial growth. We have 711 team members. And I say team members because it is a team. Everybody that works for the school district is a team member of LISD, no matter what your job is. Our annual operating budget is right around $48 million. The tax rate, the Board of Trustees has lowered that 6.6% again this year. That puts us at a 3-year total of about 20 cents in the last 3 years. And of course, values are up. So, see, our recent financial audit, we again obtained a superior rating in the financial accountability system for the Texas school districts. Currently, we're in the process of expanding 2 campuses, ECC and College Street, and those 2 projects are being paid for out of the fund balance of $7 million. So it's not costing us anything there. The STAR testing data supports that Lindale ISD, even through the pandemic, outperformed every single school district in East Texas. And that's what teachers have to do, the virtual lesson plans, kids in school and out of school, parents becoming teachers. And in my neighborhood, the parents are glad the schools are open. I just want to share a few of the team successes that we've had, and I know I'm going to miss some of them, but all of our athletic programs, our academic programs, either won or smashed the district totals. But most notably is Lindale won their 6th UIL academic championship, which is a great achievement. Journalism won their 11th state championship. Our band was awarded the first ever state marching championship. And the Eagles football got to play in the state finals. That was a great achievement. And again, I know there's some other things that went on, teams that won and performed well, but we just don't have that kind of time because everybody did it. COVID is near and dear to our hearts. The recent numbers show us, I just heard Stan's update today, we're at 0.1% of infection right now. So that's a great place to be. But all this wouldn't be possible if our families, our students, and our staff aren't doing the things they're doing as the janitors go through and wipe down walls and doorknobs and bathrooms and things of that nature. And teachers are doing the things that they do in between classes. And we just appreciate that so much. We might ask ourselves, how did the district do so well during the COVID with everything that we were faced? And I only come to one conclusion, and that is if you look around this room, it's people like this that make it happen. It's nothing that I do, or Mr. Surratt does, or Shelby does as individuals. We all do our part, but it takes a whole community. And I think that is such a blessing to live in Lindale, Texas, and have community support that we have. Otherwise, we would not be where we're at today. Do we believe different than most of the world? Yes. Do we stand firm in our belief? Yes. And that's important because what we're raising and what we're educating is people's going to take care of all of us someday when we're old, and we need somebody to take care of us. And we want the right person to do the job, because you always match right person to the job. So we as a Lindale Independent School Board of Trustees just want to thank everybody for your support, and we hope we continue to have your support as we educate the kids and make Lindale a school of choice in East Texas. Thanks.
I used to be a clinical psychologist for 35 years in Oklahoma City, sending people to treatment. But now I'm in the travel business and I send them on vacation, and it's a lot more fun. So if you will take the pen and the business card that I left for you on the table, if you'd like to take a $5,000 vacation but only spend $2,800, I'm your girl.
I wasn't sure I would know many people, but I do know many of you here today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sherry McEllier. I've been with United Credit Union for 31 years. I know that's kind of an anomaly these days. The credit union's been around for 89 years. Fun fact, we just celebrated our birthday 2 years ago for that. I think that's pretty amazing as well. One of the things that I heard from the group up here today, and wow, was that not amazing? I've so enjoyed this. So y'all talked about building relationships. That's one of the things we strive to do at the credit union. Now, we're a financial institution. I know I don't need to tell y'all all about the ins and outs of the credit union and financial institutions and what we do. So I want to focus with you on local. What we do local, we were established locally in Tyler at the bottom of the basement of the post office as a postal credit union. We now serve all of Smith County, portions of Wood and Van Zant County, and Upshur. I'm getting nervous. You're fine. So anyway, as far as we enjoy building relationships, we love talking to you. We do a lot of local. Here in Lindale last year, we helped sponsor the Lily Russell Memorial Library. I think that was a very worthy cause. Gonna give a hand for them. One of the things I'm very proud of is through the fun year of 2020, as an organization, we took the opportunity to get our staff, we have 4 people who were financially trained to become certified financial counselors. So this past year, We partnered with an organization in Wood County, just outside of Winsboro, the home of the recovery, in being able to go in to help these guys who are helping, are trying to rebuild their lives, to provide financial education to them. It's been a very rewarding experience that we have undertaken with that. We're very proud of that. These are things we like to do. We like to stay local. As I said, we're a financial institution. We have all the bells and whistles, digital services. We like to keep our stuff local. When you do your loan, it's local. The money stays local. There are some options that are with third parties, but we try to do as much as we can in-house. So come by and see us. We do love this right here. We love to see your face. We're a little old-fashioned. We wait on you face-to-face, and if you call us, we're going to answer the phone. Don't worry about 1, 2, or 3. We're going to answer the phone, and you get to tell us what you want. Thank you.